Here's an important explanation on why most spiritual masters and gurus always end up just walking around saying love and allow all these things, and that we are supposed to accept and forgive, and maybe they feel that we're not supposed to go out and not basically preach, but sort of make it an effort, a very strong effort, to put this out for people to understand. Some of them think just keep their mind clear and be with the one and the oneness in the universal mind. Well, the universal mind is affected by all the minds in operation. So whether they're coming, if they're in a human form, they're coming from an individual source, just like I am. And this is how I know this, because a trip to the Akasha records sort of did some real good work on my mind. And I'm very open. And as soon as I can allow myself to let go of my ego and who I am completely, which I'm getting so good at that, like I know when I'm in the right place. But anyway, with that being said, a lot of those spiritual gurus and masters, your universal mind, okay, the universal mind is connected through your mind. So your subconscious mind, whether you spend 50 years humming and doing mantras and dances and stuff like that and being loving around those people, you're still just being to those people and not understanding that if you believe that you're a part of the one, you should be trying to have an impression on all, because the impression on all will make the one better. Not better on it on in complete terms, with everybody agreeing, and they will eventually. You'll see. We'll all see, because we'll be alive then. Just maybe not in our forms we are now, but we'll still be alive and we'll be conscious. We'll know. At least the ones who are hearing this and understanding it will be. Anyway, with that all being said, those masters are still influenced by the universal subconscious mind. So since the subconscious minds of many people are still very confused, they are being affected by it, just like I am. I spend every day in my mind being amongst people, because that's one step of it. You can't shut yourself off of people. You need to at first to get to know yourself, and you need to often to get to clear yourself. But you have to go back out into the people and not be afraid to talk about what's true. Because if you keep letting people say this thing that's going on with the government, and this thing is going on with the space programs, and this thing is going on with the schools, and blah blah, every idea, every thought is a distraction, because every thought is creative. And if you keep thinking the wrong things, you keep creating the wrong things. So how can I use an example? The universal mind. Okay, the universal mind is easily being affected in person, but this is happening on a whole across the universe, whether you know it or not. Subconsciously is subconsciously, that you don't know. It's just there. We know about it, but it's there, and you can't control it until you start controlling your conscious mind enough to affect it, and make patterns in your mind, to make practices on how to shield yourself and guard yourself from all those other impressions. So a good example is, you can be very peaceful and loving and see people being a certain way that you disagree with, and after a period of time you just say, hey, I accept them for that, and that's fine. And to some certain degree it's okay. But if it's to the point where you're like, oh, all the crime and all the whatever, that's going to happen, so we're just let it be, because that's how it's always been. Well, there is no always. And it's not always going to be anyway, and it hasn't always been a certain way. It's not always going to be a certain way. We have to apply ourselves to make that change. One goes on to two goes on to echoes out throughout infinity. We can make it happen if everybody understands what's going on, and other people don't try to hide it and disagree with it, because that's what's causing contrast. What's really happening is what I'm saying. All the other ideas that are happening in our world are going to be disagreeable, because it's your opinion against someone else's opinion. This isn't an opinion. The subconscious mind is being affected. All those great masters that haven't went out and tried to affect the world haven't got all the way. And I hate to say that, because who am I? Some schmuck people think. But I'm not talking from the Dan space. I mean, I'm Dan, but I'm so at one with that now that I'm always there, no matter who I'm around. So I let them call me Dan. I let them, of course, I'm Dan. I don't want to be stupid when I say it. I don't want to sound weird when I say stuff like that. But I mean, when they talk about
things too deeply, and I try to explain, well, don't take it too seriously because this is what's really going on. They don't want to hear that because they're so sucked up in their emotion and their pain. And I understand that because I've been there and I can still sometimes get there. But then I just have to take 1 second and think, like, you're watching yourself do this. And I'm like, yep, there we go. I'm good. So, it's a thing that each person needs to learn so that you can handle anything. It doesn't mean don't have emotions. In fact, you have more, but you just have control over your own. You're accepting of others and you have control of your own. That's the big difference. So then the reason we need to teach that is because the subconscious mind is being affected. So the more you affect the universal subconscious mind, which means every mind, every individual mind, the better it affects everything and the easier it is for you to keep yours clear. So if you're just sitting by yourself, you're sort of being afraid to go out and talk to people. There's a lot of people who say they're enlightened and that they're, one with everything, but are still timid and afraid to talk to like a gangster or whatever. And me, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody about it. I would love to be tested, but at the same time, I don't want to die because I still have my personal stuff that I want to work out because it would ease my karma. Because if I just say Dan Alexander, all this stuff with him and his kids and all the problems he's having don't mean anything. And he'll just go on and do his spiritual thing and just sort of write them off as he tried, give up. That's not how it's going to work. It's got to work. I've got to work out all those issues with my personal life in order to get my spiritual life complete. And that's part of my imbalanced chakras because I'll always be holding on to that with my relationship with the kids being absent. So I get that back. I get everything. That's everything to me. In this physical world, having my relationship with my kids and my family is everything to me. And I see the whole world as my family, and my immediate family is going to affect me karmically. So I totally get all the steps of what we do to clear our chakras, to clear our consciousness, to clear all the past, to make ourselves a whole one universe. Like, it's not just one song, universe. It's like one version. It's the one version of complete thought. So no matter how ancient ascended master they are, they're teaching people great things. And I'm not trying to talk them down, but I'm just saying that they also are missing a little bit of it. I'm the complete package. And when I die and if people don't understand, it's a travesty. But at the same time, it's a beautiful world, and it's going to go on, and it'll eventually work itself out because I've already been there. I've already seen the perfect paradise, and that's all I want to do is bring it to the real world because it is the real world. It just isn't in our physical realm yet. And that sounds crazy to talk about, or not crazy, just deep. And it's too much for some people because they're so surface that their whole life is technology, and technology is the most out of surface. It's the most out of inside. It's the most outward thing you can do right now is be connected to the Wi-Fi out there. It's so out there. Like, people need to be inside a little bit more. Anyway, back to work. Peace.